Welcome back to the program. Again, very happy to have at the set with me Mike Detillier, where we are talking football, and we're going to start it all with the New Orleans Saints. Your impressions, you've been out there at practice to this point, and we were speaking during the break. It's hard to get a real good impression because free agents couldn't even get out on the field till yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. But you saw some young guys. And what I'm going to do in a little while, I don't want you to start talking names too much, just an overall impression, because I'm going to throw some names out, and I want you thumbs up, thumbs down. They don't need to re-sign that guy. They need to get that guy in, or who's going to really help them.
I was impressed of how just unique this offense is, that they didn't miss a beat, with Drew Brees. I mean, and that was all the workouts at Tulane really helped them out. And offensively, this team is clicking. It looked like as though they didn't miss a beat. Defensively, the one thing that catches your eye, this team looked a lot different coming off the team bus. You look at Shaun Rogers and Abreu Franklin and Cameron Jordan and Martez Wilson. They have added some real beef up front. And I said this before, how you end a season sticks in your craw until you start the next one. And you just think about how this team got beat last year, with Atlanta running 8 straight running plays to beat them in overtime after Hartley missed a field goal. In Baltimore, Ray Rice beat you. It wasn't Joe Flacco in the passing game. Ray Rice beat you. In Seattle, Matt Hasselbeck had a great game, but it ended with Marshawn Lynch, 7 or 8 broken tackles. That stuck in them pretty good about getting it fixed on defense. And you can see by the signees that they've had that it's all based on that. Also, to the upgrade, how much time this team spends on special teams. And they've done a lot of revamping of that player-wise.
Let me ask you this, and I'm kind of reverting a little bit. I saw somebody ask Peter King this, and when I saw that question posed to him, I thought that is a question I'd love for Mike to answer. Do you think when the Super Bowl champion is named in February of this upcoming year, that it can be directly correlated to what teams are doing these 2 weeks?
You better believe it, because I've always felt you win championships from January through the end of April. That means free agency, trade period, draft. That's when you win championships. What's happened the last 2 weeks has been amazing for the Saints. You look offensively, they had already made the decision with Shockey beforehand to cut him loose. They lose Jonathan Goodwin at center. And we'll talk about his eventual replacement later on. But everybody else is back.
That's right.
Everybody else is back. Defensively, they lose Remy Adele, and we'll talk about the 2 guys that will take his place.
Right.
All the linebackers, back. Secondary, everybody's back. It is amazing that this team started with 27 free agents and were able to get the majority of those guys re-signed, core players, and add what they did to the roster.
So if I say to you, Mike, the Saints lost this particular guy, I'm going to mention his name in a little while, you could say Shaun Rogers. So I'll throw it out there. They lose Remy Odell.
Shaun's a big man. He ain't missed a lot of meals in his life. But
is it an upgrade?
Oh, you better believe it is. Because
okay.
Shaun's a guy that at defensive tackle, he not only ties up block, he makes the tackle. This is a guy last year, 67 tackles, and he was playing only a third of the time in Cleveland. 67 tackles for a defensive tackle? How many of those guys you find in this league that not only can tie up a block, but make the tackle?
I agree. If I say Osama Young, they get a guy like Jonathan Amaya in, is that a trade-off? Is it an upgrade?
Well, the thing about Amaya is he was brought in for his special team skills. He really is, because he's tremendous on special teams. Really, Osama's position has been taken by Paul Oliver, who they brought in from San Diego, who was a former cornerback at Georgia, has played both free and strong safety with the Chargers, and he's the guy that'll take Osama Young's place. He's a better player than Osama.
How about Anthony Hargroves? What did you think about that?
I think that's where they maybe took a little step back. I don't think Turk McBride is as good a player, who they brought in from Detroit, as Hargrove. They're both similar players in that they can play both end and tackle, but I think Anthony was the better football player. Now, again, they were fortunate, and his story is tremendous, that he fought a lot of demons off the field, but he's a better football player than Turk.
When I saw Jonathan Goodwin leave, I thought to myself, the Saints must have a lot of confidence in Matt Tennant, second-year pro for the Saints. And today we find out they get Alan Krantz, who had played for Chicago, was an All-Pro. And I mentioned to you before we come on air, because Mike and I just sit around talking before we were on air, and I said, man, I can't believe Krantz is going to come in and be a backup to Tennant, because I actually heard that somewhere today. And you say that's not going to happen,
Man,
right?
the only thing he's backing up is the truck when they're going to load him the money. Now, he ain't backing up nobody. Olin is a tough guy. He's been a 6-time All-Pro player. Now, he's 34 years old, so we're not talking about the 28-year-old Olin Krantz, who was really one of the elite centers. He's still a good football player. Tough guy, warrior, very good run blocker. He's efficient as a pass protector, great locker room guy, on and off the field. And last year, he played with 3 bone spurs in his Achilles tendon. He did not miss a snap. He has started for 8 straight years at center in the NFL when you got 340-pound guys beating on you every play. He is a warrior, a football warrior.
In Mike Detillier's opinion,
It's an upgrade.
Goodwin, it's an upgrade.
An upgrade.
Very good. You talked about Abreu Franklin coming in from the 49ers.
Well, him and I go back a long way.
Really?
In fact, actually, I scouted him at Itawamba Junior College. He came in as a big
Mississippi?
linebacker. And one thing he did, and he's got problems like me saying, I'm full. He went from 230 pounds to 320 pounds. He was a part-time player up until his senior season at Tennessee. Then he really played well the last 3 quarters of his senior season, was a backup in Baltimore. Mike Nolan goes from Baltimore to San Francisco, brings him there. 2009, he was as good a nose guard as you could find in the NFL. He got in shape. He got a personal trainer. We talked about it. He lost about 25 pounds. He was a man out there on the football field. Last year, he got in a contract dispute, let his weight get up, didn't play nearly as well the first half of the season. All I can tell you is they got 3 guys now, in Shaun Rogers, Abreu Franklin, Cedric Ellis, that's going to cause a lot of problems for interior offensive lines to block all season long. And my thing is, I think they'll start Franklin and Ellis and come off the bench with Shaun. Let him play those 30, 35, 40 snaps a game. He's not going to play 60 snaps, not at this stage of his life. The only guy I've seen size-wise, talent-wise, that can do what Shaun did was Jumpy Geathers. When you watch him, he forklifts centers right back into the backfield. There's no great hand movement skills, brute strength. And you're talking about a man who's 6'4.5". Now, he told me he's 322, and I told him, you know, you and I better not get on them scales. And he said, no, don't go there. But he has lost some weight. And up front, they've gotten much bigger, and that jumps out at you quickly.
Very good. I'm going to save the big name for last as far as free agents go. Can Will Herring, linebacker from Seattle, help him?
Will's a guy that is basically a Troy Evans clone. Really good special teams player. I covered Will when he was at Auburn. Skinny guy, real tall. He's filled in, but he's a real good special teams player. And like Amaya, he's got a chance to really upgrade a special teams unit that Coach Payton really felt as though didn't play too well last year.
And the big one, Darren Sproles is in. And I have to say, even before you start, Darren Sproles about 3 years ago blew me away. I was just like, I used to see him at Kansas State, and I was amazed. And when I heard the Saints got him that morning, I woke up. I didn't know it because that was a late-night deal, if I'm not mistaken. I woke up the next morning. I said, no, they don't have Darren Sproles. Because I was still kind of going through the Reggie Bush thing, thinking, well, is this a big loss? What kind of loss is it? You know, and then when I heard Darren Sproles, I said, oh, okay, you know, see you later, Reggie. Your thoughts?
It's an upgrade. He's a better player than Reggie. The big reason is he can stay healthy for 16 games. I take nothing away from Reggie. He was a good football player. He's a big part of the 2006 run. A lot of injury problems. Comes back in 2009. Was a big part of the championship run. But he couldn't stay healthy. I'll never forget Mike Scheifries, who's from Destrehan, tells me last summer, man, Darren Sproles, first time I saw him, I said, there's no way he can play in the NFL. He's 5'5", he's 175 pounds, and that's with sand in the pockets. And he said, there's no way he can play in the NFL. And he said, until you see him on the field, and you say, wow. Now, I think in the Saints offense, and this is something all of us missed on, in the NFL today, the queen piece in chess, on the football chess field, is the tight end. You look at the Patriots, the 2 young tight ends. Hernandez, Gronkowski, move them all across, find a mismatch. Indianapolis, Dallas Clark, mismatch. What the Cowboys do with Jason Witten, what San Diego does with Antonio Gates, and the Saints offense is different. The queen piece that you moved all across was Reggie at running back, trying to find a mismatch. So you wanted a queen piece just like Reggie. You got one in Sproles. He gives you the same situation. He's not as fast as Reggie, but he's quick, and the one thing he does, he's north-south. With Reggie, everything was east-west. I'm going to try to outrun you. With Darren, he's not going to break a lot of tackles, but he's going to head up the field and get what he can get. And if he gets out in the open field, them little legs of his makes up a lot of room. He'll help you on special teams as a punt returner. He's a terrific receiver coming out the backfield. So he becomes the Saints' new football queen piece in the chessboard.
Very good. Good analogy. Two guys that were taken in the first round, just your thoughts on Cameron Jordan and Mark Ingram?
Well,
You smile at everybody, so this is good. Obviously, you know, the Saints silently are putting something together, I think,
Well,
special.
I think you can see they are putting together a team that if you were going to pick today, say them and the Eagles, NFC Championship game. What the Eagles have done, you got to give them great credit. They've done a tremendous job. But Mark Ingram is going to be a big-time player in this league. And I got to watch him work out at Sonic Boom with Wyatt Harris. And Wyatt sometimes kind of stretches things a little bit, but, boy, he's a terrific receiver, great between-the-tackles type runner. And he looks like a 6'1" running back that you squash down to 5'9". He's got muscles everywhere and smart, can catch the ball, good pass protector, do everything, and he's a quick pickup guy. Bang, he knows it. Cam Jordan, versatility, athletic, can run the field well, good pass rusher, not a great one, but a good one, and he is a vicious open field tackler. One thing you're going to see, now we haven't seen this because they're not hitting in camp tackling-wise, but watch him on the field. And he is a vicious guy, and he's got some good football genes in him. I covered his dad, Steve. He was an all-pro tight end with the Vikings for 8 years. He understands this game very, very well. But his former defensive coordinator, Cal, told me his big impact is going to be when they're going to move him to tackle in obvious third down situations where they're going to throw the ball. He's a terrific inside pass rusher. Those guards and centers,
It's a mismatch.
Mismatch because of the speed and athleticism.
Very
and
good.
Martez Wilson, he's the guy to watch. I'm telling you, if you're a fan, he worked out at Sonic Boom with all the rest of the receivers. They had him doing DB drills. This guy's 255 pounds, who's 6'3.5". His comment to me is, they never asked me to move in reverse. Everything is forward. And how good he has become as a pass defender guy. But I want to see him when they put him on the edge and say, get the quarterback and sick him. Because he had the fastest 40-yard time of any linebacker. And when he get that big body moving, that quarterback's better get rid of the football real quick.
Very good. We got to take another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to look real quickly at the schedule, and you can say pros and cons about the way it's set up and maybe where the pitfalls in that schedule might happen for the Saints. We'll do that, and we'll look at their preseason schedule for you folks who want to go see some preseason games. We'll do that after this break.